Hey everybody. This video is not really going to be about food. It will be about life and things that happen in life and how we react to and respond to those things that we see in life. But I just have to share this with you. I just got to get this off my chest. Um, so if you deem it to not be appropriate for your own ears, you can feel free to shut it down. Or if you find it interesting or want to share with other people, please feel free to do that. But I got to get this off my chest. I get off work, come home, and I have a neighbor that's standing outside looking at a vehicle that's just parked over on the side of the street. And she said, "Would you call the police?" It's like, okay, why am I calling the police? Turns out there was someone that was ODing in the vehicle. And I know this is not content for kids, but I don't present any of my information as content for kids. This is just real life, and I'm just sharing it with you. Call the police, tell them, this guy is clearly unconscious in the vehicle with this paraphernalia and whatnot, and barely breathing or faintly breathing. It's faintly noticeable that his chest is moving. So, thankful that he was alive. One of the back windows of the vehicle was broke, like busted in. So I don't even know if it was his vehicle or not, but that's not the whole point of what I'm sharing. So, when I reach the police, which it takes them a long time to answer, and for those that don't know, I live in the area where all those wonderful riots were a couple of years ago, where, you know, it was like COVID and riots all happening at the same time, and I had to bug out. If you haven't seen those videos, go back to my 2020 videos, and you can see and hear about all of that. Um, Back windows broke out. He's barely breathing in there, unconscious, with his whatnots all around him. When the police finally, when the emergency response finally answered the phone, um, I start to describe the scene. I said who I was, and they're like, "Oh, is this about such and such address?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. We know. We know about the young man that's unconscious in the vehicle. Yeah, yeah. We've had a couple of calls already on that. So that means I was call number 3. Okay. And then they just hung up. Um, Stood out there with the other neighbor. We waited a while. Somebody else walks up. It's like, I don't hear any sirens. I don't see any flashing lights. I don't see any black and white vehicles coming, or even a brown one. Not even the sheriff's office. Nobody. Nobody is showing up. So we waited and we waited. And then another person comes by that's walking their dog. They see the same thing we see. They call. So now that's 4 calls. Um, that ended up being in, I guess, 35, 45 minutes time. 4 calls. You know, so we're just still waiting. After a while, I said, you know what? I have to go indoors. And if they show up, I'll hear something, see something, whatever. Um, but it'd be nice to know if that person is okay. Um, and I wouldn't want any tragic situations happening on the block that's full of children and pets and just people that are used to having a peaceful existence. So, anyway, fast forward after about an hour or so has been up, the one of the neighbors that was there gets in her car, drives about a mile away to a local store where there's always police officers on duty. She talks to those officers. The officers leave from their job there, come all the way here to check on this guy. And, she sent me a message that she went down there to get the cops. Um, and even though there's a lot of BLM and other alphabet soup stuff going on in the community, this has always been fairly peaceful community, in spite of it being right in the midst where people chose to do riots and picketing and protests and whatnot. This area typically has been fairly calm, aside from the homeless encampment that was in the park a year ago that had over 100 tents. Anyway, they show up. Two cruisers show up. And of course, I'm inside now, but I'm able to see, just checking to make sure they're actually going to at least peep in and check on him, make sure the guy has a pulse, make sure he's alive. Does he need any medical attention or whatever? Um, and like I said, the one back window was busted in. So one officer was on one side of the vehicle, the other was on the other side of the vehicle. And they eventually opened the door and they managed to arouse him enough to be able to get up and stand up, and he went and he sat in the back of one of the cruisers for a minute. I don't know what all happened after that because I was just the lady looking from the window, kind of like Gladys Kravitz on on Bewitched or something. I just was looking out the window, staying in my safe space. Um, but another neighbor came out and she saw what was going on. She was like, "Oh, let me pull out my phone and start recording stuff." So she pulls out her phone to start recording what they're doing, and she's not interfering, not getting in the middle of it. She's standing way back, about 30 feet, I'd say, um, doing video. The officers see her doing the video and they let the guy go out of the car, going ahead, and they go up to her and they said, "Are you taking video of us?" And she said, "Yeah, is that a problem? It's freedom that I have. This is America." And they said that they really didn't want her taking that video without their permission. It was awkward. It was very weird. And I'm watching it, like I said, from the window. So I'm not 30 feet away. I'm more like 60 feet away. But they let the guy go in his condition, in a state where he was not even able to keep his head up or his eyes open. I don't know what to say other than that the world has changed so much that it's sad and scary, and I'm kind of speechless at the things that I see happening around us every day. So, and this is not to say to be talking politically about Narcan and all that stuff. It's not have anything to do with that. This has nothing to do with BLM or any of that. It doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Floyd and all the chaos and stuff that happened in 2020. Like I said, I was one that had to bug out because when people come from outside of my community into my community and then set the buildings on fire around me, I had to go. So this is just to say it's important that we're all careful and mindful of what's going on and who's around us because people are smashing out windows and stealing cars or looking for money or whatever they might find in vehicles, anything they might find of value. They might try to use your vehicle as a place to sleep or to become inebriated. Um, but there are also carjackings and things like that happening too. That's very real. And whether you're on a bike, riding a bus, walking, driving, whatever you're doing, it's important to be looking around you and being aware of your surroundings and who's around you and what's going on around you. Try not to be out alone. The whole lone wolf thing is just not a very good thing to do, if at all possible. Or if you end up having to leave alone to go from point A to point B, have some kind of communication or network set up where you can tell people, hey, I'm on my way over to Blase Skippy and I will let you know when I make it there. And if people know how much time it should take you, if they do not hear from you in that amount of time, then they could say, uh-oh, we need to check on this person. Just a simple little thing, for people to think about and to consider because, like I said, the world's really changing and people are becoming very desperate in what they say and what they do. And we just have to be careful for ourselves and our family. Enough of that said. I want to share with you something a little more positive. I got my box this time. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. I've heard that other people have been taking my box if I'm not around at the time when it's delivered. I don't know, but it's kind of frustrating at times because you get your hopes all built up and then it's like, what? No box again? Are you kidding me? So, just to be safe, you know, I try to make myself present at the time around when it should be available. So that way I can keep my eyes open and know what's going on. But I can go over the things that were in my box. I transported them into this cute ASPCA bag. And I'm not, sponsored by ASPCA or anything like that. But I do love dogs and cats and, you know, donkeys and horses and birds or whatever. I like animals. But let's go through what's in the box. Well, one thing I had was a recipe for a salad. So I will probably be making that maybe tomorrow, Saturday or something. I had a bag of popcorn, just regular popcorn that you can put in a popcorn popper or you can prepare on the stove in the kettle. So that might be a fun thing to do. But I'd probably make it more like a country nibbles where I'm adding like a Chex Mix and whatnots and different things so that it's more of a special treat. I got a bag of pearled barley. Barley is it's good. It does contain gluten, but barley is actually one of those yes products that's a thumbs up and it's actually kind of good for kidneys or people that are on renal diets. It's actually a good thing to eat, believe it or not. Garbanzo beans. There's lots of things we can do with this, but I think I will follow the recipe for a salad that has these in it. Black eyed peas, one of my favorites. That would be something else fun to make, maybe with some kale or collard greens or a blend of greens and some other things. Black eyed peas, you can't go wrong with that. Or I can't go wrong with that. Salad Girl Lemony Caesar salad dressing, which does have 240 milligrams of sodium. Caesar tends to have more sodium anyway. Um, but there's not a whole lot of other nutritional content within it. But it'll have some good flavor to go with the salad that we'll do on another day. A bag full of walnut pieces, which will be good for the salad. Make quite a few salads with this. A couple of lemons, yay for lemons, because lemon juice is good in the salad. It's good to sprinkle over meat, whether it be chicken or fish. But you know what I like to do with lemons? I like to make my own special bottled water in a glass bottle that I use, and I'll have some chopped lemon and the fresh juice from that. And I'll add some garlic cloves, like 2 or 3 garlic cloves chopped up and put in there. I know it sounds weird. Fill it with water, and it's totally satisfying. And the juice from the lemon and the garlic are good for your blood pressure. It's good for helping open up those vessels so that everything is flowing nicely, and it's a really good thing for you. And yes, they did give me the garlic. These are small, but they're cute. Okay, little head of red cabbage, and yeah, I know it looks purple, but that's what they call red cabbage. Red cabbage is a very friendly, kidney friendly food. So that's going to be fun to use in making a salad. And this is, we'll talk more about that and all it has to offer. I mean, because it's a good source of phosphorus and things. Just like the dried beans are a good source of protein, this is a good source of other nutrients that your body really needs. And I have one more thing. Dun-dun-dun. Of course, the foil pack, which I think I know it's in here because of the recipe, but it's always fun opening it up. Chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Yay for that. Um, and it's still frozen because it has the ice pack in there and everything. Um, very grateful that I was able to get my box this week. It does get frustrating on those weeks when I don't get my box, and then sometimes you see that I just don't post anything, probably because I'm having one of my little cranky attitude days. But it is nice to be able to get this. But this also makes me put things into more of a perspective of, you know, it's good to be able to get this because it saves on the food budget and it's providing a good resource for healthy, nutritious food. But at the same time, I have to keep the preparedness mindset and to not just depend on stuff that may or may not come the next week because as you see, it has not come a few times. And it's not that I don't have anything else to eat, obviously, but when I hear about what's supposed to be coming and I'm looking forward to those recipes, I kind of get my heart set on it and, things get all wacky in that way. But very excited about that. Wanted to let you know about what's happening outside today, which is kind of disappointing. And I'm not saying it to say anything negative about law enforcement or people in uniform or whatever. It's just it's just an eye opener to remind us of the times that we live in and how difficult it is for a lot of people, and that there are a lot of people that are really, really struggling. And as time goes on and finances and funds start to dwindle, we might see more of this. Many people are losing their housing. There's people that were living up under the bridge but have been moved away from under the bridge and they brought the bobcats in and cleared everything out like what they did at the park. And now those people have moved to staying right next to the railroad tracks. So, new tents, people are struggling and trying to do what they can to survive, but if you have the preparedness mindset and you have some things in place, sometimes it's not about always going higher and higher and reaching for higher heights. Sometimes it's about maintaining and staying where you are, working with what you got, learning how to only use part of it now and save the rest of it for later. You know, you don't have to use up every single thing you have every single time. Use part now, save the rest for later. Thank you for joining me. Um, I look forward to talking to you again soon. And as I said, the channel name has gone back to Danette's Kitchen, which even when I tried to change it, my Gmail address still showed Danette's Kitchen. So the channel name's gone back to Danette's Kitchen, and my handle is Cooking for One. But that doesn't mean you have to only be cooking for one. You can be cooking for two or three or four. But if you're like me, and if you're an empty nester or just single or whatever your situation may be, you may find that those life changes make you need to, they kind of push you into a direction where you have to modify what you do so that you can meet your needs financially, so that you can have the food that you need, and so that you can work on having the best possible health for yourself. And I know some people just think eating healthy is boring. It doesn't have to be boring, but we need to eat to live and not just live to just eat. We need to try to strive to be the best that we can be. And that doesn't mean fancy houses and cars and all of that jazz. That means that inner peace that is within you and doing the things that you can to continue to move your body and strengthen yourself so that you can make a difference in your own life first and then in the lives of others around you. That's just like if you were to fly on a plane and the host or hostess would say, "This is the directions for where the exits are, and there's lights that are running down the middle. And if we should run into some turbulence and the plane starts to shake, an oxygen tank is going to drop from the ceiling. You take that mask and you put it on yourself so that you can breathe. You have to be able to put it on yourself and care for yourself first before you try to help somebody else." Just something to think about. But thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Be careful out there. Love the ones that you're with. Show people that you love them. Tell them every day. And please prepare.